Hi guys, it's Jordan from B&B Campers. I'm just going to do your handover video on your Elddis Majestic. It's a 125, I believe. Yeah, 125. Alright, so we're starting with the bonnet. Over on the left hand side here, got your washer fluid top just there. This will be your power steering fluid, this one is here. Engine coolant, brake fluid, engine oil goes in through this cap just here. Your engine oil dipstick is this one just here with the kind of orange top. To get to any of these, by the way, you just need to take off this little cover. So there's these three little turning clips and then the whole thing just pops off. The engine battery on these cabs sits inside the cab itself, so under the floor in front of the passenger seat. So if you wanted to jump start the vehicle for any reason, you need to get your earth on here. This is your earthing point, and your positive terminal sits just behind this little cover here. Sometimes it's easier to have a little something to grip it with, but you can get it open with your hands. But yeah, so that's how you open that up. I think you just need to, it does show you on there, just need to squeeze these two sides together and you'll be able to get to your positive terminal. If you ever actually needed to get to your engine battery, you can just get to it quite easily from under the floor in the cab, but that's where the bits and pieces are for that. Earth and positive. Your Erwin Group chassis plate, so the original one is just here. It looks very, very similar to me. There's probably a couple of little changes. So yeah, this is your Peugeot one, and this is your Hymer, so this is your motorhome. The one that's been updated, basically, is that one. So your bonnet release on these cabs is just inside the passenger door just here, and your diesel filling point is here. Underneath there, you notice you've got your AdBlue point as well, so when it tells you, you need to put a little bit of AdBlue in there as and when. You've also got tyre pressure thing just here, so it tells you what your tyre pressures should be. This may well be different now that it's been converted into a motorhome, so don't sort of hold me to that, but this is where you actually see those. And if I remember, sometimes there's a paint code one in the behind the driver's side, or maybe not, maybe that's a different cab. Anyway, right, so in the cab itself, I'll just take the keys out of my pocket so I can get in. Right, in the cab itself, it's all pretty straightforward. It all looks really, really nice. They've taken all these little bits and pieces, take a bit of extra time to put that sort of stuff on, so that it all matches the colours of the outside of the vehicle and things. So your factory fitted, this is all just Peugeot stuff here, so that's your single DIN, or double DIN size, sorry, stereo system. Underneath there, you've got all of your air conditioning and heater settings, which when you turn the ignition on, all comes on, and you can work it out pretty easily. 6-speed manual gearbox. Reverse, you need to go lift up this little bit at the back and then over and up to the top left to get that in there. We've also got cruise control, which you work from this bottom stalk just here, so cancel and resume is on the end. Washers and wipers are on the right hand side here. Lights turn on from here on your left hand stalk, and your indicators are there as well, obviously. You can connect a mobile phone up to these systems usually, and that's why you've got these buttons on here to sort of like answer and decline phone calls and things like that. The reversing camera works really well. I've just used it a minute ago to put it here. And yeah, there's various kind of like USB sockets and bits and pieces like that, nice sort of modern stuff. USB and 12 volt sockets just there. Obviously because it's a nice new cab, so that's that. Other than that, you've got electric adjusting mirrors, which you use this like a little joystick. Just choose which mirror you want to move and then move that around to move the mirror, and your electric windows. So if we carry on now on this offside, you've got your external water point just here. The bit for that is in the gas locker, but I'll get to that in a minute. Freshwater inlet, this one just here. And your freshwater drain is this one just underneath here, so it's all sort of linked up directly up there from the fresh tank. Your toilet cassette locker is this one here, so once you've got that out there, You can take it all the way out. The only thing you really need to know is that you've got this little button at the back here, the little orange button. So when you're emptying it out from here, when you're taking this off and you empty it out, you need to hold that little orange button down. It's what's called an air pressure release valve, and basically it, you know, just releases a bit of pressure when you're emptying it out, essentially. Fresh water flush, so you haven't got to worry about any separate flush fluids or anything like that. So as long as you've got a little bit of fresh water in your tank, you'll be able to flush your toilet. These two vents here are for your heating, and then you've got your wastewater drain, which is the grey one just behind here as well. So all of your water stuff is all on this off side, nice and easy to get to. This is the point that I was talking about. So you've got space in here for two 6 kilo propane bottles. So you've got a new looking quick pigtail, so 2021. So you've got to a 26 to replace this pigtail here. Anti-clockwise around to the left turns the bottle on, and clockwise around to the right like this turns it off. You need to make sure that you turn the bottles off before you start driving. Same, you know, it's just a common practice really. You know, if you're in a crash or something, you know, the last thing you want is a gas pipe inside with 30 millibars of gas pumping through it. So make sure that you switch those off before you start driving. In this rear locker here, obviously really helpful if you want to put anything in the back, but the reason I want to show you really is because you've got all of this stuff here. So all of the stuff at the top here, it does tell you exactly which one does which, but basically they're your MCBs, they're your 240 volt individual trip switches for all the individual appliances, and then the main isolator, the RCD, is over here on the right hand side. The mains is plugged in at the moment and everything's upright, so that means there's no faults of anything as we speak. Fuse board, sort of like fuse board down here as well. They've all got their own little name next to them as well, so they're literally, you know, it's all pretty simple. If you have a problem with anything, you can just have a little look in here usually and double check everything's all right. Obviously get in touch with us if you do have any problems, but yeah, it's all there if you should need to have a look at it. The locker back here is an interesting one. It's the same on a lot of these old, well, this isn't old, but I mean a lot of the older Elddises. They've got usually like this, so they've got the same style of locker where you've got the leisure battery here and the hookup point in there. And the reason they do it is so that when you're hooked up like this, if you tuck this cable behind here and into this little gap, you can actually close the locker entirely and leave the cable plugged in. It's just so that no one can go in there and tamper with anything, and obviously you can lock it up so that you can keep your battery safe, but you can literally lock it up with the hookup plugged in. So it's really helpful if you're on a campsite or if you want to leave the van for a day or so, so no one will take that out and use it. But yeah, so this is your leisure battery, so you've got 110 amp by the looks of it, or 105 or something like that. Oh yeah, 100 amp, so it's a 100 amp hour battery, which is plenty big enough for a van like this, to be honest with you. It's they're normally sort of like an 85 or an 80 even, so good sized battery on there. I also know that you've got a solar panel on the roof, so you know you're not going to have any problems with battery, or you know, you shouldn't have, as long as everything else is okay, which it is. So that's that there. That's another little vent there for your sort of heating and hot water. I can feel that now, it's actually on because I've got the heating on, so I can show you it working basically. External barbecue point is this one just here. A couple of other bits that I want to show you. So you've got your it's your sort of door stay basically, but it's just a giant magnet basically, so there's no latching over or anything like that needs to happen. Awning light, it's this one here. I'll show you how to use that in just a minute. It's on the control panel. And the last thing I've got to show you really is your fridge vents, which are these ones. So you've got a Dometic fridge. I've got the fridge lit up on gas at the moment, and one of the other ways that you can double check that the fridge is definitely lit up or not is by putting your hand just over here, making sure that you can feel nice warm air coming out like that, which I can. So that's all there and all working as it should. You've got one of these Fiamma door locks, which are really super strong. They basically just have these screws just here, but they yeah, really strong, really tough things. So yeah, I think that's about it for the outside. I'll just go through the inside bits with you. So, just here next to the door when you get in, you've got your control panel. So up here, without me touching anything at all, it shows you your battery voltage. So because I've got the hookup cable plugged in, you've got about 13 volts in your battery, or 13 and a bit. So a resting battery rate, engine or leisure, is about 12 normally. So that's just showing you there that it is charging up really well. So that's, without touching anything, that's showing you your battery voltage. If I press down on this one here, it's a little rocker switch, it will show you, if you look at the bottom scale there, it'll show you the freshwater level, so you've got a full fresh tank. Lights main isolator is this one here, so now I've got it on, all the lights come to life and start working. Awning light, so I can turn that one on, and then you should be able to see it down there. It's on. I'm just going to turn the button off so you can see it. Like that. So that's that button just there that says awning. Master, so as you can imagine, it's just basically a main isolator for everything 12 volts. So if you turn that one off, all of the lights and things like that should turn off. Tank heater, if you should want to use it, you don't have to use it, but it's there if you did want to. And your water pump. So I've got the pump on at the moment. It's a pump that works via pressure, and so the fact that I've got it on up there, no taps are working, nothing's happening right now, but the pump isn't running, proves to you that there's no sort of leaks or anything nasty going on in the water system. And on that point, the first thing you want to do if you want to start using your hot water and all that sort of stuff, you need to come in here, turn your pump on. This is assuming you've got some water in a tank, by the way. Turn your pump on and just come to the sink here and pull the tap. Make sure it's over to the left hand side, which is your hot water side, and then just make sure that the water comes through nice and easily like that. When you turn the pump off, when you turn the tap off, the pump should turn itself off after a few seconds, which it has done. So in doing so, you've basically proved there that your boiler is full of water, essentially. The hot water system has to run through the boiler first before it gets to any of the taps. So if you pull the water through like that and it comes through nice and easily, there's no leaks, and the boiler is full. So the reason you have to do that is if you wanted to heat the water up, which is this top button here, which I'll show you how to do in a second. If you want to heat the water up, you have to make sure that the boiler is full first. Otherwise, what you're essentially doing is like the same as boiling an empty kettle. You'll basically just be sending all the heat to nothing, and it'll just get too hot basically, and sometimes things can sort of melt and burn and things. So make sure that you do that, really, really important. Once you've done that, if you want to use your heating, your hot water, sorry, you click this button just here, so this top one that says water heating on it, and then you look to the right here and see which symbol is on. So if I flick through them, so that's gas and electric on one, and gas and electric on two. So when that symbol is showing, you've got gas, which is the little flame symbol that you can see there, and then these little squiggly lines means electric. So each little squiggly line, whether it's one or two, draws a different amount of power. So the lower if you just got the one squiggly line and a bit of gas, then you're going to be drawing a much less amount of amps through the power cable than you would if you had the two. If I carry on flicking through, it will go off first, so that's the first one you come to. Next is a window setting, you don't need to worry about that. The next one, so that's just gas only on one. No, sorry, not gas only on one. Electric only on one, sorry. The squiggly lines again. Electric only on one, and electric only on two. And again, electric only on three, I think, next. Oh, no. Right. Okay, let's start again. Let me go to off and start again. Right. Water heating. Press it once and press it again. So that is electric only on electric 1. Electric only on electric 2. Gas only. Gas and electric on 1, and gas and electric on 2. Okay, so that's the hot water. Okay, so the bit that says water heating. You've then got heating, which is below that. If I press that button, I've got gas only, gas and electric, or off. Okay, that's the only options on that one. You can do it on electric only, gas only, or electric and gas. Okay. So it's just a case of flicking through and deciding whether you want it on electric only like that, gas only, or both. Once you've chosen the one that you want, you can flick through up and down on this side, and this is your temperature. So that'll go through. And depending on how hot it is outside, you might need to turn it right up sometimes because it might not be that cold inside. But I can hear straight away the fans kicked in on the boiler, and you'll have these, there you go, there's the two little vents there. So the bottom one sucks the air in, top one blows the air out. So I hope that made sense. I know I made a bit of a mess of it when I started talking about it at first. It's because they're a little bit more unusual to have these well systems in the vans, but when they do have them, they are really, really nice to work with. So yeah, heating is at the bottom, hot water is at the top. So if I want to turn both of those off, I'll just flick through this button here until I get to the off symbol and just leave it. Same with this one, off, and then just leave it. After a few seconds, they'll turn themselves off. 1, 2. The fan will sometimes run on for a little while after you've turned it off. That's because it's like cooling itself down. Okay, so that's your whale heating and hot water. Once you've got all of that sort of stuff on, you can then go around and choose which lights you want on or don't want on. It's up to you. Because it's a British built vehicle, or a British style vehicle at least, you've got two 240 volt plug sockets there, 2 USB points down there. I noticed you've got another 240 volt socket down there. So, and the reason I say that is because a lot of the German vehicles tend to have maybe one plug socket in the entire vehicle, whereas the British ones, they like to cater for us a bit better. Up in this cupboard here, we've got your TV aerial booster, so Teleco one, a 3-way splitter for that, and your TV aerial, which is this part up here. So that's your tilt and turn aerial. So you loosen that off, and then you can move it up and down and left and right, wherever you might want to lock it on. So that's all up there. Obviously your TV locker part is here. If I just show you how this works. So you've got this whole thing that just sort of moves around so that you can put a telly on it as and where you want it. When you want to put it away, you lift this little lever up and it will sit behind it, just about like that, and that stops it from moving. Okay, fridge. We've got a 3-way fridge. So 3-way meaning it works 3 different ways. Gas at the bottom, 12 volt here, 240 volt here. So basically hook up, engine running, or gas. So if I switch it off now, just go all the way to the top. I've got the mains cable plugged in at the moment, so me personally, I would go one to the right, just there, to the mains cable one. You can leave this one alone, this is all just for the gas really. But yeah, so I would leave it there. So after a good few hours, this fridge will be nice and cold inside, and that's as simple as it gets. When you start the engine up, you need to change over to the 12 volt there. The 12 volt holds the temperature. It doesn't get the fridge cold on its own. It just holds whatever temperature you put in it first. Or if you didn't want to use the electric, you could go down to gas, and then what you need to do is you need to watch this little dial here. You've got an igniter switch here and a gas purging button here. So you need to push and hold on the igniter button whilst you push this with this one at the same time. Okay, so let me do that. Watch what happens when I do that now. So I'm pushing both in at the same time, and the little orange lever is going up into the green. I'll let go of the igniter and then let go of the gas gas valve as well. So I've let go of all of that now, and as you can see, the little bar is still going up into the green, and that means that the gas is on and lit on the fridge. So quickly again, all the way down to the bottom allows the gas to come through. Push the ignition switch on whilst pressing down this gas valve, and then just make sure that you've got the little orange bar going up into the green. Again, that'll take a good couple of hours to get cold, exactly the same as the mains. But it's really important to know that the 12 volt won't get the fridge cold on its own. You can't just start the engine up, turn it to 12 volt with a warm fridge and expect it to be cold when you get to wherever you're going, because it just won't be. It holds the temperature really, really well, but you do need to make sure that it's cold first before you go away. Right, so I'll turn that off. you've got a 3-burner hob at the top and a hot plate up here. As long as you've got a mains cable plugged in, this hot plate will work. So you've got this little dial over here. Notice that when I turn this on, this is the little dial for the hot plate. It goes 1 to 6. When I turn this on from 1 to 6, it will light up here. So see there, telling you that the hot plate is on. If you want to ignite any of these top burners as well, you've got this little button down here. So this button does the grill, oven and the 3 burners at the top. You've got a little diagram telling you exactly which one does which. And so basically just use it accordingly, just like you would at home, if you want to. Microwave up here, all mains operated obviously. So that's all in there. If you wanted to use that, then you can. Everything I wanted to show you is that you've got a solar controller up there, which is a Truma one, so I would imagine it's probably the original fitting, because it's a nice quality unit, that. So it's connected up to the one battery, so that'll be your leisure battery. So basically, as long as there's sun outside, you're going to have power running straight down into your leisure battery, charging it up. So if you didn't have access to a hookup cable all the time, then you know you shouldn't have to worry about the power of the battery anyway. Sometimes when you don't have a leisure battery, you know, anything going into the leisure battery to keep it charged up, like starting the engine or having a solar panel or plugging a hookup cable into the vehicle, sometimes they can just sort of drop off and you know, die over a little small amount of time. So it is really handy having that solar panel on the roof, just keeps it constantly topped up. So that was the other point I wanted to say. So when you start these vans up, any decent motorhome conversion will have this. It's what's called a split charge relay. So basically you start the engine, the alternator charges your engine battery, and then from there you've got a split charger, so it splits the power that sends to the engine battery and sends it straight through to the back to your leisure battery. So anytime that your engine's running and you're driving this vehicle, both the engine and the leisure battery are being charged up. So when you get to where you're going after a nice long drive, you should have plenty of power inside both batteries. So next thing is your bathroom. So I'm not going to show you how all these bits work because it's all nice and simple. It's literally just taps and sinks and things. The only thing I will say is that the shower, like a lot of motorhomes, if you see there, it's got a little button on the back of it. So you push the button down to allow the water to come through. Toilet is the only bit I need to show you really. You've got a flush button up here. So push the button down and that allows your flush fluid to come through. And then on the front of the toilet, you've got this little lever just here. So pulling it towards us here opens it and allows it to go into the cassette. And then closing it back over closes that flap back up again. That's really important to close that flap back up, because if you don't close the flap, one, you'll get bad smells coming into the vehicle, obviously, because you've just got a hole straight into your toilet cassette. But also, if you don't close the flap down there, you will not be able to take the cassette out from outside. It locks them in place. So you need to make sure that you do definitely do that. The bed's up at the moment so that we can get around and check everything. Inside this cupboard here, you've got your paperwork for the van is just there, so that's all of your paperwork in that brown box. A few other extra bits and pieces that, you know, you've got a couple of fridge vents just there, so if you're not going to use the van for a long time, you need to pop those little vents on. They're basically just sort of spider covers and things. Other bits I want to mention, if you're going to use any of these burners or the hot plate, any of them at all, you need to make sure that you leave this to all cool down before you put this lid down. And it does say there, do not shut lid when burner alight. But it's also really important not to close it straight after turning it off, because if you do that, you're going to have cold air on the top of it and hot air underneath, and it will just shatter the glass. It is toughened glass, obviously, but it's yeah, it's definitely not shatterproof, because I've seen them plenty of times broken. So make sure that you do that. This little bit sits inside here, if I remember rightly, and you can close that down. So it all looks, you know, really good in here, really nice quality. Whoever's owned this before has obviously kept it really, really well. But yeah, otherwise I don't know if there's much else I can show you really. I've tried to be quite thorough with everything. Sorry that I got a bit muddled up showing you the whale system, but it's again, like I said, it's I've used plenty of them before, but they're a bit more uncommon. I'm used to talking about the Truma, the combi boilers, so whenever I get those, I get a little bit muddled up. So Skylights, these are so simple. I mean, this one especially, I've got it on a little vent, well, the sort of middle part just here, so that I can have it open a little bit. If I wanted to close it up, pull towards me, and then it gets it into this channel here, which if you wanted to, you can open it all the way up like that and then let go of it. That's just how they stand up. But basically just push it all the way forward until it stops, and then just push this handle up until it sits over this, and then to put it back, that's it. The other one here, you've got a fan, so you can have that fan going if you want to whilst you open this up. People kind of use them as like extractor fans, if you like, so like that. So send the air out with the skylight open, close the skylight if you want to, and then turn it off. And then this one here, very slightly different, but you've got two little catches just there. Undo those, and then just basically pull this handle down and push her up. It really is as simple as that. Obviously much easier when you've got these bits out of the way and you can get in here, but that's up to you whether or not you want to use that. You know, it's down to you how you want to use this area. If you're not going to use it as a bed, which you probably will, but if you don't want to use it as a bed, it's great for storage if you want to put anything in here. But yeah, that's down to you guys. But yeah, so I think I've shown you everything I can. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just let us know. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.